Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Journey of an Awakening Spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, your host, and we are streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. The purpose of the show is to help you realize that you are not alone. You are in control of your life. It does not matter what your lot in life is or where you came from. We have all felt pain, suffering, hurt, abandonment, loneliness, hopelessness, etc. This show helps you to take those dark moments and turn them around and create a whole new you. We were taught to be a certain way, act a certain way, conform to society. Being socialized is not bad, but it can put constraints on us. The guests I bring on the show are telling you their story of where they came from, the obstacles they overcame, and where they are today. They are sharing the tools they use to recreate themselves and their life. Some of the guests are still in their process, beginning a new process, comfortable in their process, or even reinventing themselves. They are giving you tools that they use to gain insight to take themselves to the control of their life and become the person they are today. On podcast.kathleenmflanagan.com is a list of the guests that have been on the show with their contact information. I am aware that you may resonate with one or several of them. My desire is that this becomes a community where you have access to the people you wish to align with and utilize the tools that they have, as well as the tools being offered on the KathleenMFlanagan.com site. I am a certified coach who can help you reach your dreams. I help you learn how to rely on and believe in your unlimited potential and power. I already know what you've experienced. I already know that you've experienced flashes of intuitive knowledge and big thinking that has you wondering just how far could you fly. I'm here to help you stir up that innate knowing and self-trust already instilled deep in your soul. I help you to forge forward with the old you when the old you would rather give up and turn back. AwakeningSpirit.com is an aromatherapy-based body care product line that offers alternative healing remedies that use natural and organic ingredients. We are offering a 40% discount by entering bravetv into the coupon code. The products are guaranteed. If a product is not working, please contact me and we can reformulate the product specifically for you. Grandma's Natural Remedies.net is a CBD company that uses essential oils in every blend and either has broad spectrum or an isolate. Every product is tested and the lab results are on the website. We are offering a 20% discount by entering bravetv into the coupon code. I start the show every week with sound from the tuning forks. I bring in love, happiness, and balance. This sets the tone for the show and brings out the best in both my guest and myself. Let's begin. Laura is an international spiritual counselor, intuitive coach, and psychic medium. She has a laser-like way of seeing relevant details in all areas of your life. She is perceptive in ways that feel like your own deepest knowing. She brings a compassionate, no-nonsense presence to her work, along with a huge capacity to see and outline the most positive, life-affirming way forward. She is both a seer and a counselor, a refreshing combination. Her passion is to empower people to live their lives in the most authentic and passionate way possible, aligning with their lives and with their own divine mission and discovering and developing their own spiritual gifts. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
Well, I thank you for coming in such short notice. My guest today she's in Canada, like you. but she decided to go to the cabin, and it's pretty dark, and she forgot her light. So I'm like, okay, what was that about? So I thought that was rather interesting that when we had our conversation that we were going to, you said, Spirit says I'm coming on earlier, and you were right. 10 months earlier. I love it. It was great. Anyways, but I know that you're here and you want to talk about how to create resilience in your life. But first, what was, okay, let me get my brain wrapped around my thinking now. Tell our audience what your journey of an awakening spirit has been.
Oh, that's a long story. Well, okay, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. Truly, I started my true awakening when I was a very young child, when I was about 10 or 11 years old. I didn't come from a religious family, but I was always curious. I went on a quest to find God and the angels. And since I wasn't from a church going family, I was lucky to be in a neighborhood where there was, at least 5 or 6 churches within walking distance of my home. So back in the day, you were always supposed to dress up in your Sunday best. So I actually put a skirt on, which I would never wear otherwise because I was a little tomboy and I was like 11 years old. But I put my little skirt on and my little strappy shoes and my little blouse, frilly blouse, and went off every Sunday to a different church for about 5 or 6 weeks in a row, looking for God and looking for the angels. And I will tell you, I didn't find them there. I met a lot of nice people, some not so nice people, and had a lot of interesting experiences. But I certainly realized very quickly that God did not live in a church. Okay. But when I really, really started to have my actual spiritual awakening was when I got into my early teens and I became very, very active in the outdoors. I did a lot of hiking, I did canoe tripping, and all those kinds of things very much in the wilderness. And I found my church in the wilderness. I found spirit in the wilderness. I found the creator, God, whatever label you want to put on it, it's all the same energy. So that was the start of my journey. And actually, when I was 15, I had a very incredible out of body experience actually on the top of a cliff when I was rock climbing. And then my spiritual journey kind of went up and down through the rest of my life, up until the time I was probably in my 40s. And I again reconnected with my spirituality, and my spiritual journey, so to speak, began again in a very real way. And then after, in my early 50s, I suddenly lost my partner, died, and that created a whole nother adjunct to another intensive spiritual journey, which I went on, going to such places as Brazil. I went to John of God. He's a, uh, a trans channel healer in Brazil. And I also went to Peru and I had a 3 week ayahuasca experience. I decided after I came back from that I wanted to really dive into my yoga. So I went into a self healing journey of a month-long yoga retreat, taking my yoga certification in Costa Rica. And then I came back and I was ready at that point to follow the wishes of my partner who had passed away. And he loved Hawaii. He wasn't born there, but he lived there for about 20, 25 years. And then I went on another journey to Hawaii to spread his ashes in the ocean of Hawaii, because that was his, in terms of a place, that was the love of his life. So um, that's the Reader's Digest version. And then I came back and I was called to my full time mission of counseling and being a medium and doing that work as a full time job and exiting my corporate job in marketing and advertising. So it was quite a switch. but it all kind of rolled in together. And it was definitely, especially initially, it was part of my own healing journey. And it was part of me gaining resilience over all the things that have happened to me in my life since the minute. I had an interesting entrance. From the moment I came in, I had challenges because I was actually not just a breech, but a full breech, which means both hands and feet up and butt first. So it was a difficult delivery for, I'm sure, for my mother, but it was certainly difficult for me. And I wasn't breathing actually when I was first born. So they had to do some fool around, do some resuscitation with me. I always say that I was coming down the birth canal and I looked at the agenda that had made out, the mission that I had made out for myself, and I decided I really didn't want to do this. So I turned around, I tried to crawl back up. And that's how I ended up being that's how I ended up being a breech birth. So that's the nutshell version of my journey.
I love it. I just love it. I love the fact that I don't want to be here. I'm going back in where it's nice and safe. That's so
Yeah,
funny.
nice and safe, nice and warm. I don't have to bother with the world.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Journey of an Awakening Spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, your host, and we are streaming on the Bold Brave TV network. And we have Laura Hoorweg with us today. And she was just telling us about her experience of coming through the birth control and not what birth control. Oh, God, I can't speak today. Birth canal, and didn't want to come out. But because you did come out and you've had this very interesting life, what were some of the steps that you took to be where you are today?
Um, it's been a constant learning process. Early on in my journey, probably in my not in my 20s, no, not in my 20s, in my 30s. My 20s were interesting. Didn't have a lot to do with spirituality. But in my 30s, I went through a lot of different healing modalities and energy healing courses and things like that. And I realized with most of them that I wasn't going into them in order to become a practitioner. I was going into them for my own healing journey. And so I did a multitude of different things, different types of energy healing, breath work. Uh, and what I really discovered actually was really important. Two things were really important for my own healing, and I really, really recommend them to my clients, is both yoga and meditation. I'm just going to say it right out. Probably yoga and meditation, especially after the sudden death of my partner, and the collapse of my career, quitting my career, and the kind of my whole life actually after my partner passed away suddenly imploded and exploded at the same time. And I will definitely credit my yoga practice and meditation for really saving my life. Because there was a time there when I just thought, because of all the things going on with me, that I really didn't want to continue. It was like my second birthing experience, and it was kind of that get me out of here feeling. And those are the two things that really help, really um, created my resilience. And the other journeys that I had too, the healing that I received at John of God, both through their healers, because he channels a bunch of different healers on the other side. There's also uh, a full slate of mediums and channelers and everybody that creates what they call the current, and you sit in the current, and that is an energetic healing in of itself. And then you go back to your room and you sequester yourself for 24 hours. Is it 24 hours? Yeah, I believe it's 24 hours. And you can't have contact with anyone else because your healing process is still going on. Food's brought to you, the whole dealy. You basically can't leave your room. So that was one phase. And then the other phase was the ayahuasca journey, which was really incredible. It's very, it's not for the faint of heart, okay? And people think about it, oh, it's, hallucinogens and you're taking drugs and all this. I don't look at it at all in that light. It's really jungle medicine. It's been used for thousands of years. And it's definitely not recreational, because it's not a pleasant process whatsoever. Because the purging, which is both, I'm going to try to keep this as clean as possible, both vomiting and diarrhea, massive, for hours, for a lot of people. And that's purging all the negative energies, out of your body, energetically, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. So it's certainly not a recreational practice. It is a very ancient healing practice. So there's a lot of things in my life that I can credit with really building my resiliency, and my experiences myself. Uh, in my life, I had a very, how shall we say, I had a very challenging and traumatic childhood. I had a very interesting young adulthood. Like I said, my 20s were very interesting. And you just have to keep on keeping on. And I really didn't decide to fully stay here until I was probably about 40. When I hit my 40th birthday, there was kind of this massive exhale, and I knew that I was going to stay. And interestingly enough, during my late 20s and my early 30s, I had 5 car accidents, none of which were my fault, but I do believe they were all windows to take me off the planet if I so chose. So I've had a physical healing journey, as well as an emotional and mental healing journey, because I've had many car accidents, many sports injuries, and I've also had a class of adventure injuries, which is the class that takes up anything that doesn't fit into car accidents, or other injuries, shall we say? Okay. Okay. So building resiliency is really about deciding, honestly, it's really about deciding that you want to stay here and you want to be here, and there's a purpose for you being here. And that's where you get the motivation and the impetus to put one foot in front of the other through the dark times. And things like yoga and meditation and energy healing and balancing and Reiki and all kinds of wonderful things like that really support that journey and really help you to raise your vibration, as well as your resiliency and your will to live. That actually, you know what? If I had to define resiliency, I would say it really is at its core, it's the willingness to live this life and stay here on the planet and do what you decided to do before you came in.
I wholeheartedly agree with what you said, because I was suicidal up until the age of 30. Then I had an opportunity to die a couple of times, actually. One was with a swollen epiglottis, and nobody would take me to the hospital. And then I was a baby because I almost died because I couldn't breathe, and they were going to put a tube, cut a tracheotomy so I could breathe,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
there was so much infection in my sinuses. And it took an hour for the doctor to come. And as I'm in the ER and they're prepped the operating room, and I'm trying to get out of my body because I don't want to live. I was like, this is an opportunity to leave, so I'm going. And I swear to God, Laura, the Mother Mary came in, was at the foot of the bed, and
yeah,
started yelling. Oh my God, did she start yelling at me? And I stood at attention and was like, yes, ma'am, okay, okay. Because it was like, you are not to leave. This is not your
yeah,
time to leave, and you are going to stay here and you will figure it out. So I did. And part of the reason I wanted to die then was because it was right before my divorce. That was totally devastating to me. It was totally devastating. And then there was a whole series of things that just started happening for like the next 10 to 15 years that were horrible. And when I went to Chicago, is when I made the decision to stay. Now, I had another opportunity to leave because I was literally yanked out of my body. And I'm on the phone with somebody and I'm yanked out of my body. My cats are standing at attention, trying to protect me. And I'm like, I don't know where I am. I was like, the poor lady's freaking out because she thought I was going to die. I got off the phone. And for the next 3 days, I didn't take a shower. I ate the biggest bag of Doritos I could find at Costco. I bought them like 2 days before this event happened, and I'm like, why am I buying this? I'm not going to eat these. And something said, keep them in there because I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to do anything. I mean, I managed to go to the bathroom. That was the extent of it for 3 days. And by the third day, a friend of mine called and I'm crying hysterically. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong. And she's like, are you going to die? I don't know. And I don't think so. And she's like trying to get over, to make sure I was okay because I didn't understand what had happened. But in that process, I was given the opportunity that I could leave because it's like, you've done what came here to do. So I was given that opportunity, but then I decided to stay for some crazy reason. I decided to stay and go through even more hell than what I had been in
Oh yeah.
before. Oh my God, did I go through hell? But at that point, I decided I wanted to be a better person and I wanted to be better for me, not you, not my partner, not anybody, just for me, because I finally decided I was worth something. Maybe just this little tiny bit of worthiness, but something was there. And thank God, I mean, yes, it was hell. It was total hell going through what I went through. I wrote a book about what it's like to wake up, what the journey of an awakening spirit really is about when you do that, and looking at self-reflection and how do you hang on when you've got nothing to hang on to. And just it was just that faith and gratitude that helped me to move into that next direction. So I totally understand about that resilience, because it takes every ounce of what we have when we make that decision to step into our personal greatness. And even if you didn't, because I didn't want to come out either. I mean, in my birth, I was hanging on for dear life, and the doctor's like taking my head and going back and forth. He wrenched my neck, something fierce. I had a lifetime of working through my neck issues because I wasn't ready to come out. And when I did a rebirthing process, when I was at the 10th one, I was in the water and I'm sitting there on the side of the pool with my hands and feet on the wall, like, no, 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 I'm not coming out until I'm ready. And that was my life. Everybody knew better than I did. And I spent a lifetime saying, no, I'm better than you are. I'm better for me. It's my life. So I understand when you go through that and all the studying that you said that you did, I did the same thing just to get a better understanding of just what this real world is, not this crazy world, but the real world. And that's what I wanted to be a part of. So what else went
Absolutely.
on? Because I know you've had other amazing stories besides this. I mean, you're already talking and you're surfacing, you're doing a surf right now. So I just like to go a little bit deeper.
Um, well, I left out the latest of my adventures because, uh, well, what happens to me is I always experience things. I'm always slightly ahead of the wave because I've been told over and over again by my guide, they want me to experience things first so that I can assist others. Okay. So this is the way my life goes. So 2019 comes, and at the end of 2019, just before Christmas, Laura gets absolutely ill, probably the illest I have been in my entire life. I was literally in bed for 2 solid weeks. Like, I mean, thank God I have a cheater ensuite because I was like crawling from the bed to the washroom. Like, I could not even stand up. And finally, after those 2 weeks, I was just on the point of saying, like, I have to call an ambulance because I was absolutely certain that I had super bad case of pneumonia. Okay. And then I finally started slowly feeling a little bit better. Okay. It basically took me another 3 weeks to feel human again. And then guess what happened? It was January of 2020. And then all of a sudden we found out about COVID. And I'm going, yeah, man, I just survived COVID in my own house and didn't end up going to the hospital. But then all of a sudden, I started having all these weird symptoms. And I started having this burning, like just burning in my chest. And I couldn't, it felt like somebody leaning on my chest. It wasn't a breathing problem, but because it was this burning and it felt like burning in my lungs, I figured it was some kind of because of the COVID. So, of course, we're right in the middle of lockdown. I'm having problems getting in touch with my doctor. He's just been he's still recovering from concussion syndrome. because he was in a car accident. So that was just craziness trying to even get in. So the short story is I never even got in, wasn't able to actually get in and get diagnosed until the spring of 2021 when I
Wow.
finally got in. Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And I finally got in to see my doctor, and he was also convinced that it was some lung problem. And then he said, you know what, we're going to send you for a stress test just to make sure. Okay. So I went for the stress test, and of course, I failed miserably. There was just a tech in the room, and she goes, I want you to stop right now, Laura, and I'm going to take you off the treadmill. I want you to sit down, and I'm going to go get the cardiologist. He has to look at these things. This is in the middle of the test. So the cardiologist comes in. He looks at it, and he just looks, and he looks over at me. He goes, there is a serious problem here. And he said, this is the short version, you're either going to have stents, or you are going to have bypass surgery. He says you have a serious problem
My
with your
God.
heart. So he said, well, I'm going to try to get you in. He said, I need to get you in for an angiogram where they shoot the dye through your heart and see what's going on. He says, I'm going to try to get you in the next 2 weeks. And of course, that didn't happen. I had to wait around for 6 to 8 weeks to get it. I think it was almost 8 weeks to get in for the angiogram. I'm in the angiogram, and I'm lying on the table, and the cardiologist who's doing the test, looking at the test, and he looks at it, he shakes his head, and he goes, oh, he says, we can't stent this. And I'm like, WTF. Okay. And and then he comes over to me with a diagram, and I'm still lying on the table. I still got all the stents, all the angiogram stuff in me, and he's showing me the problem. And I had two major blockages on the left major artery of the heart, which is called the widowmaker. And
Oh,
he says, we're going to have to do bypass, open heart surgery. And he says, you're not leaving, because the angiogram is just a day test. They bring you in, they kick you out a few hours after the test. He says, you're not going home. He says, we're going to admit you, and we're putting you on the surgery list. And I'm like freaking at this point, because I had myself mentally and emotionally ready for the stenting thing. The open heart surgery part was not on the schedule. So again, here I am in a life-threatening operation. And basically what I was told was I was lucky that that I didn't have a heart attack in that time where I was waiting for the angiogram. And the cardiologist told me that if I had a heart attack, one of two things would happen. It would have been so severe that I would have died because of where the blockages were. Or it would have been so severe that it would have damaged my heart to the extent that I would have been basically an invalid, and I would have needed to have a heart transplant because it would have damaged my heart to that extent. So a few months
wow.
later, Laura's so I had to make, this is again resiliency. This is what my whole life prepared me for, because I'm lying there with this shocking news, totally healthy otherwise. And where did this come from? They were trying to convince me that I had an underlying cholesterol problem, which was BS. Okay, total BS. And it was confirmed BS afterwards. But anyway, I know it was COVID, but that's a whole nother conversation, which we're not going to get into. But it was, and they found this out over the last couple of years, that so many women over the age of 50, particularly women who had COVID or had this session of shots, ended up with some kind of severe heart issue. Okay. So I had to make the decision on the fly. Either I had to get my mind right, because this was very serious, and I just had to go with it. And I said, okay, the way that I'm going to look at this is after I have this operation, I'm going to be 40 again. So I ran around telling everybody that I'm going to be replumbed and I'm going to be 40 again. And I really believe that in my mind. And to this day, I believe that. That was 2 years ago, I guess now, just about. And that again, you have to decide. We're confronted with all kinds of challenges, and you have to decide how you are going to perceive those and how you're going to proceed with your life. And that's how I've gone on with my life. And, I'm healthy as like I said, I was super healthy going in. I'm now super healthy coming out. And I'm so lucky that I never had a heart attack, because most of the people who have bypass surgery have already had one, and most have had multiple heart attacks. And the problem with
Mm.
that is every time you have a heart attack, it damages your heart in some way. The more severe the heart attack, the more severe the damage. And the heart cannot heal itself like the liver, because it's a muscle. And so once the muscle's damaged, it's damaged forever. So I come out of it smiling and laughing, and here we go. Laura's back up. another exit point past. Okay. That I decided, because I made a conscious decision that I was going to get through this, and not only was I going to survive, but I was going to come through it healthier and better than I went in. So that's another example. I don't know if that's where you're going with that, but that's
No,
another example.
that's fine. I mean, so is this part of the reason why you went on all those health journeys or healing journeys with John of God and ayahuasca, or was that just more
Oh,
from
no,
the death of your partner?
that was after the death of my partner. This is the next
Okay, so
phase.
this was long before this.
Oh yes, yes, yeah.
Okay,
Tim passed away in 2014, and I did all this traveling and these healing journeys to Peru and Brazil and all that. That was all in 2015, 2016.
okay. So what are you doing today, right now, that makes all these changes that are going on in your life? I mean, obviously, this was another life-altering change, course correction, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So what came out of that whole experience? Because something obviously did.
Well, it really sharpened my belief in that I was here for a purpose, and that I was here, and that I still was here, because I have a lot of work to do and I have a lot of people to help. I have no delusions that I'm here to help everyone. I know that there are people that I can help and people that I can't help. And the people that I can help are the people that are showing up. And not only through my practice, through my spiritual counseling practice and my intuitive coaching practice and my mediumship, because my mediumship is something different. It's helping people to work through grief, helping people realize that life goes on. We just go on in a different form. And that my mediumship actually, I think, has really helped me to look at death and dying in a totally different way, and know that the other side is special. Like, I'm not afraid of dying at all. Actually, the only thing I'm afraid of would be um, I'm afraid of being disabled. Okay. That would be, to me, that would be the worst possible thing that can happen. I know a lot of people who are disabled and they live wonderful lives. But for me, I'm such a physical, tactile person. I always have been since the minute I was born. And honestly, if I was physically, seriously physically, like if I was paralyzed, or if I was an invalid, like for example, if I had had a heart attack and I was bedridden, or I couldn't do anything, that to me would be 10 times worse than dying, because dying to me is just a transition into another form. So that wouldn't bother me at all. In terms of my mediumship work, I know that. And I've had some, like I said, some kind of wild near death experiences too. So that's shown me the other side in many, many different ways. And I can help people in their grief, and I've gone through incredible grief when my partner passed away suddenly. So I'm very cognizant of all the different things that happen in your life and the different emotions and things that you go through. So that really spurred me on in my mediumship practice, which is different than a lot of mediums out there are what's called evidentiary mediums. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to deliver healing messages from family and loved ones, and to help people realize that life goes on. It's just in a different way. Evidentiary mediums are more about proving that there's life after death. And you know what? I don't care about proving that to anyone. I'm just really, I'm more concerned about helping people heal from grief. So that really upped that. And it also helped me to realize, it really got me into, I didn't realize ever since my partner's passing, I was very wondering what was going to happen with the last portion of my life, wondering whether I was going to be able to find love like I had. I've been very lucky, actually. I've had several very wonderful partners where I've been very deeply in love with them. And I was wondering if I was ever going to be able to, you think that you've ran out of chances. Okay. So I was really wondering about that, and what the rest of my life was going to be like. And this experience of having the open heart surgery and having this brush with dying again, just I recommitted myself to life, and to helping others recommit themselves, and to helping people live in the most authentic and real way, and to be in touch with their own missions, and what they wanted out of their own lives. And you know what, we spend so much time surviving. That's what really, I think one of the big messages I got through this last episode was we spent a lot of time surviving instead of living. And it really brought it home to me in my own personal life that I didn't want to be just surviving. I wanted to live my life, and I wanted to help other people live theirs. So I think that's the biggest thing that's come out of this last episode, how important it is to really live life, not simply getting through the day. There's got to be, if you, again, if I'm going to be sticking around, for another 20 years or so, I'm going to make darn sure that I'm actually living my life and I'm not just surviving. So that's really the biggest lessons that I've learned, and that I've been able to take and pass along to other people. That's what's important to me, to show people that you can, regardless of age, you can live a very rewarding, fulfilling life, no matter what's going on and no matter what challenges that you have to go through.
I agree with that. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Welcome back, everyone, to the Journey of an Awakening Spirit. This is Kathleen Flanagan, your host, and we are in the room with Laura Hoorweg. Laura, tell our audience, no, that's not what I want to do. I want to ask you a question. What is one piece of advice you would offer our audience to help them move in a different direction to achieve their dreams or become a better person?
Just do it. Literally, even if you just start with little baby steps, there's a universal law. Okay, this is the planet of free will. So our angels and our guides can't just step in and start helping us or start changing things. Okay, we have to do something that shows them where we want to go. That's the equivalent of giving our permission for them to help us. So if you really truly want to change your life and start something new, you need to move in that direction. Okay, even if it's just starting to research something, or sitting and really thinking about how and what you really want in your life, and telling universe what you really want, because that is the yes to the universe. Okay, and that's when your guides, your angels, your masters, whatever you want to call them, they don't actually care. Okay, that's giving them permission to come in and start helping you, to bring those synchronicities into your life, to bring those aha moments, to bring those people that you need to do whatever you really want to do. And sometimes it's resources, sometimes it's finances. All those things start happening when you make that conscious decision to change. Okay, we have to make a conscious decision to be happy every single day. Okay, you also have to make a conscious decision to change. You can't just say, I wish this was better. I'd really like it if I was doing that. You have to, I am statements are really powerful things. So you want to be careful what you put behind that statement. Okay. So you want to say, am abundant or I am loved or whatever. But that is making a statement to the universe. Whenever you put I am in front of something, okay? Or I am going to become a better person, or I am going to become healthier, or I am going to be that person who works out 3 times, at least 2 or 3 times a week. Make that commitment to yourself. And when you make that commitment to yourself, you're also making it to the universe. And you're also inviting help to get those things done and make them a reality and manifest them in your life. So if you want to manifest things in your life, you have to make a conscious decision to do that and move forward, whatever that looks like for you. But just sitting back and saying, I wish this and I wish that, and only if, there's another expression, only if this was different, or only if I had more money, or only if I was 30 pounds lighter, or, whatever. That doesn't work because you're not making a conscious decision and you're not telling the universe what you want. So you're not getting any help with it. Why do it on your own? Or try to do it on your own if you can initiate help from everything and everyone and all the energy around you, because we're just surrounded by universal energy, the field. Okay, you want to use that field to your advantage, you need to make a conscious decision. It's just like the example I just gave about I had to make a conscious decision how I was going to view this open heart surgery thing. I could have gone into absolute fear and loathing, and I could have, decided that I was going to be an invalid and I was going to be ugly. Now I got all these scars on my body that I never had before. And, as a woman, it's a pretty big thing. I got a 4-inch scar on my chest. I got an 8-inch scar on my leg. I got a couple of little scars on my upper abdomen from where they put the chest tubes in. So you got to make a decision, and it's got to be conscious, and you've got to follow through with it. And like I said, even if in the beginning it's baby steps, at least you're moving in the right direction, and spirit can go, oh, hey, that's what she wants. Let's jump in and help her out.
Well, how can people get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is through my website at www.spiritspeakstome. Spirit speaks to the number and then .me. Okay. And the best way is using my email. Honestly, is just shoot me off an email, or, on Facebook. I'm all over Facebook. I have my private page, Laura, under Laura Hoorweg. I have my group page, which is under Spirit Speaks to Me. You can direct message me, or you can email me, is probably the best ways to get a hold of me if you're looking for more information on me and what I do. It's on my website, or just get in contact with me directly.
Well, I want to thank you, Laura, for coming on the show today. I know it was a last minute because Zach couldn't make it this morning. And I mean, I've never been that low, but I have a new plan for the next time it happens because I started putting that new plan together. So I'm pretty excited because she delivered a message to me. And I said, but I had this woman and she's kind of crazy like us. And she agreed. And so I'm bringing her on. So I said, but I'll be more prepared the next time. I usually try to have a backup plan, but I just remember you. And for some reason, when I said I wrote that word, if somebody cancels, call you. And that's exactly what I did. And you were right there. So thank you so much for doing that for me. I really, truly appreciate it.
No problem. I always believe that it's divine timing. Everything happens at the right time. So obviously this was the right time for this to happen.
Yep, I believe so too. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And if you found value here today, I would appreciate it if you would like or subscribe to the channel. And also go ahead and send a link to your friends and family if you think that they would find some value out of this as well. My books, Dancing Souls, The Call, The Dark Night of the Soul, and Awakened, are on my channel, at KathleenMFlanagan.com, and you can also get them on Amazon.com. And be sure to check out KathleenMFlanagan.com for the list of services and products that are being offered there. I do have a 3-minute de-stress meditation available to you absolutely free to give you just a little bit of peace and tranquility to start or end your day. Be sure to visit Awakening Spirit and take advantage of the 40% discount by entering the Brave TV into the coupon code, and all the prices will adjust automatically. The same goes for grandmasnaturalremedies.net, where you'll receive a 20% discount on all the products. Next week, we have Nick Hutchinson here, and he's going to talk about the rise of a reader. And Nick is a very dynamic young man, and I think you're going to find a lot of interest. It's going to be a little bit different spin than what we're used to talking about on the show, but how he has a different approach, and my intention is to bring a variety of people that have different perspectives to just take you down, and who knows, maybe this will be a vacation for everyone. So I want to thank again all of you for coming and joining me today. We are streaming on the Brave TV network, and I will see you next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And from my heart to yours, I hope you have a fabulous week.